This page is the cover, isn't it? Right then, N64 Pro number 5, March 98. You've got a fella on a snowboard front and center. Which makes sense because the big feature is Nagano Winter Olympics. Looks like they reckon it's the N64's best sports sim at the time, which is a bold claim, mind you. Down the side, you've got all sorts of promises. Dual Heroes, Robotron X, Fighter's Destiny, apparently don't play it if you've got mad cow disease, lovely, and NBA Pro 98. They're also plugging an exclusive, How to Win at FIFA 98 useful stuff. And naturally, you can't have an N64 magazine cover without Zelda, can you? Hottest news and shots of the biggest game ever, as they rightly call it. Plus, a quick nod to ISS2, Turok 2, and a definitive Diddy Kong guide down at the bottom. And look, a little free book promising hints and cheats. Standard fare for the era, loads packed onto that cover. This page is all about WCW vs NWO World Tour on the N64, plastered right there on the left. They're asking, are your friends always picking on you? Which is a bit of a daft headline, but hey, it was the 90s. The main thrust is this is a wrestling game, supporting up to 4 players, for some proper head-to-head action. They've given it a cracking score of 92%, and even quote a review saying it's that good, even if you're not a wrestling fan. You've got some big names pictured, looks like Hollywood Hogan with his shades and bandana, the nature boy Ric Flair pointing right at ya, and another fella with long hair looking intense. There are a couple of screenshots showing the in-game action, looks pretty solid for the time. The right side is dedicated to the team, listing some of the people behind the magazine and their favorite things, quoting Julie Andrews no less. It's got pictures of the staff and their random lists of stuff they like, but honestly, who cares when you've got wrestling on the other side? This page lays out the contents of the latest N64 Pro, quite literally. Dominated by a giant speed skater, presumably ripping it up in the Nagano Winter Olympics, which is the big cover story this month. You've got the usual suspects in those neat little circles, showing snippets of the games reviewed or featured, like Dual Heroes, Fighter's Destiny, and Yoshi's Story. Down below they've split it into sections, previews for a look ahead at stuff like Forsaken and Wrecking Balls, features covering things like the Zelda special and 6 of the best goals, and the meat and potatoes reviews section, where they're giving their verdict on everything from Nagano Winter Olympics to Wheel of Fortune. They even got Vanna White in there for a bit of glamour. There's a dedicated section for codes, tips and guides, kicking off with the final part of the Diddy Kong Racing Guide. Essential stuff for any proper gamer. Plus, tucked away at the bottom left, they're plugging a free cheat book you get with the mag, packed with hints for loads of important 64 games. All in all, looks like another solid issue packed with everything you need to know. N64 news includes a Turok 2 sequel with improved graphics, smoother frame rates, and more dinosaur enemies. Rampage World Tour is also confirmed. Nintendo is lowering prices on 7 games to $39.95, and has a legal dispute with Prima over a GoldenEye strategy guide. Konami and Acclaim are working on soccer game sequels, and a light gun is rumored, but no games are planned for it yet. Other quick mentions include Madden 64 and Bomberman Hero. This gaming magazine issue corrects a previous Lamborghini review score error, 76% instead of 39%. It features news on a potential Konami puzzler, a rumored Gex N64 release, and UK/N64 chart information, a deep dive into Kazutoshi Ida's Kyojin no Doshin, a bizarre life sim, and N64 tie-in graphic novels, including Starship Troopers and Batman vs. Aliens, is included. Bub Taylor reports on US releases, including Midway's Gory Fighter, Biofreaks. The issue concludes with a look at high-resolution graphics in Acclaim sports games, and a fascinating piece on a voice recognition peripheral, Virtual Flipper, allowing for interaction with virtual creatures like Fin the Dolphin. Virgin's Freak Boy project is cancelled. EA is promising N64 sports games. Konami's fighting game, formerly G.ASP, is now Deadly Arts and looks promising. Shigeru Miyamoto emphasizes family-friendly games. Crave Entertainment's N64 lineup includes Caesar's Palace, Casino, and VR Pool 64, along with Milo's Bowl-O-Rama. A large release schedule and development updates round out the news, including intriguing rumors. This page dives into Konami's Nagano Winter Olympics. Right then, why go out in the cold and risk breaking something when you can just whack the N64 on? Good point. The review is taking a slightly different approach here, reviewing each event individually, rather than just lumping it all together. First up, Alpine Skiing Downhill. Looks like your standard downhill race. Controls are simple enough, apparently you get split times, which is a nice touch. Screenshots show the action and even the controls popping up. Ratings look pretty decent across the board. Downer. Next is the snowboard halfpipe. Ah yes, the halfpipe. Apparently, there are 22 stunts to master. The reviewer compares it to Simon or Parappa the Rapper, which is a bit of a laugh, but you get the idea. Timing and rhythm are key. Shots show some rad flips and the crowd getting into it. It's rated a bit harder than the skiing. Finally, the four-man bobsleigh. Make sure you call it bob, not bobsleigh apparently. Bit of Olympic etiquette there. It works like the luge but is slightly easier to handle. You're hammering buttons to start and tapping B to jump in, then just steering for dear life. Looks like a bit of a laugh, especially seeing your victorious mug at the end. Rating seems solid again. Seems like a good bit of fun for a quick blast or messing about with mates. The Nagano Winter Olympics review continues, covering ski jumping, snowboarding, giant slalom, alpine skiing and curling. Ski jumping is described as a risky simulation with fiddly controls, while snowboard giant slalom is similar to skiing but with triangular gates. Alpine skiing, a timed event emphasizing edge control, offers a sense of speed and spectacular crashes. Curling, a unique event involving sliding stones and sweeping, is praised as enjoyable and bizarre. Overall, the game appears to offer a good selection of Olympic disciplines. Talame. This review continues the Nagano Winter Olympics coverage, highlighting speed skating, 500 meters and 1,500 meters, luge, single, freestyle skiing, aerials, and the overall game. Speed skating is challenging, but rewarding. Luge is a button-tapping affair focused on steering, and freestyle skiing, while simpler, is a bit less impressive than other events. The game overall receives high praise, particularly for its multiplayer and balance of skill, concentration, and reflexes. The N64 score section gives the game a 93%, calling it a rare gem and the best track and field style game since International Track and Field. This page dives into a review of Dual Heroes, and right from the off, the subtitle, Power Rangers plus Beat 'em Up equals Pile of Shite, tells you pretty much all you need to know. Hudson Soft apparently tried to step into the fighting game gap on the N64, but this game simply wasn't up to scratch. The reviewer finds little to praise, describing the gameplay as frantic button bashing with poor animations and transitions. There are a fair few screenshots scattered about, showing some rather uninspired looking arenas and character models. They even show a helpful, if slightly depressing, diagram of the N64 controller, explaining how to do some basic moves like low and medium punches and kicks, along with the ever-crucial hard kick. Just keep hammering this until you win. They introduce the roster of heroes, a selection of Power Ranger-esque characters, with names like Gay the Fire Hero, Ho the Dragon Kung Fu Master, and Nana the Cutie Chaser, each with a brief, often amusing description. While there's a mention of some potential positives, like a mirror mode, and a mode where you assign AI personalities, the overall impression is overwhelmingly negative. The reviewer explicitly states they experienced hardly any enjoyment playing it, pretty much damning the game entirely. This page finishes off the review of Dual Heroes, with the main reviewer, Noeli, making it clear they found the whole experience profoundly disappointing and hoping it never saw the light of day outside of Japan. The N64 score section reinforces this, with Noeli wishing the game had stayed far away. Other voices weigh in. Alex agrees it's best left ignored. Steve wonders why anyone would waste time playing it, while Mark bizarrely claims he actually liked it, even putting it in the same ballpark as Killer Instinct. A reader review is less enthusiastic, practically begging someone to take the game away. The score boxes show a dismal performance in all categories: graphics, sound, gameplay and lastability, leading to a rather unflattering overall score of 35%. There's also a section asking for reader feedback. Porti. Elsewhere on the page there's a big advert for a BlazeJolt Pack 256, which is also a memory card, complete with a switch to change between functions, priced at £14.99. They also show off a racing wheel and standard memory cards. This page dives into a review of the N64 Take on Wheel of Fortune. Now you might think reviewing a game show adaptation would be dull, and the reviewer admits it feels a bit embarrassing, but surprisingly, they find it's actually quite good fun. It sticks close to the TV format we know and love. You spin the wheel, pick letters, buy vowels, and solve the puzzles. The game includes over 4,000 puzzles apparently, and they even got Vanna White in there, though her animations might raise an eyebrow or two. Controlling the action is dead simple. You just use the analog stick, and C buttons to choose your letters after spinning the wheel. The graphics are decent enough for an early N64 title, and it even supports the rumble pack for that extra tactile feedback when the wheel stops. Ultimately, the big question is how you compare a game like this to proper platformers or racers, but the reviewer concedes that it's a surprisingly authentic and enjoyable recreation of the show, right down to the tension of that final spin. It's certainly close enough to the real deal for most folks. This page wraps up the Wheel of Fortune review. The chap reckons that while they packed the game onto the cart, it just doesn't quite stack up against the N64's bigger hitters like GoldenEye or Mario 64. It's probably best saved for a bit of a laugh at a party or maybe even Christmas dinner with the relatives, but don't expect it to replace your GoldenEye sessions, eh? The official verdict clocks in at a rather pedestrian 59% overall, scoring just average across graphics, sound, gameplay and lustability. Over in the reader feedback section, the punters seem to agree that it's not exactly a must-buy, with sentiments ranging from "it's okay for a party" to "absolutely terrible" and a warning to avoid it at all costs. Blimey, tell us what you really think. The rest of the page is given over to adverts for game import specialists and getting online for a blast of Quake, which definitely isn't for wimps. This page dives into a review of Aerogauge, a futuristic racer that looks a bit like a cross between Wipeout and F-Zero. It's got that Japanese import vibe about it, clocking in at a rather steep £64.99, though it does have secrets and supports 2 players. The reviewer talks about the racing itself, which involves lots of sliding and using the Z trigger for turbo boosts, though apparently you can overheat your engine if you're not careful. Damage is a thing, but thankfully you don't have to actually stop in the pits, you just fly straight through, and the damage is fixed, which is a nice touch. There are apparently 5 different crafts and pilots to choose from, each handling differently. They've helpfully included sections showcasing some of the tasty motors, like the powerful ATG-02, or the frankly bonkers rocket truck, RST-18, alongside the Speed Freaks pilots, featuring some rather distinctive characters like Gezpex, who's into deep-sea diving and high-speed racing, and Meteor, who holds the record for drive-by shooting. In a race? Blimey. The review touches on the sound, saying the engine noise is good, and the graphics, noting the fogging, used to apparently keep the speed up. There are different race types too, from single races to a full Grand Prix, and even a time attack mode where you can race a ghost. Looks like a decent, if perhaps slightly odd, racing title for the N64. Aerogauge, a ridiculously fast N64 racing game, is praised for its blistering speed, putting players in a state of pure adrenaline. Reviewers claim the game's velocity is unmatched, even surpassing the experience of watching it. While the graphics are described as slightly bland, the game's speed compensates, making it a thrilling experience. Featuring courses like Sonoa Police and Earth Cream, the game also boasts a 2-player mode. Reviewers compare it favorably to Wipeout and Extreme G, highlighting its exhilarating gameplay. While some criticize the graphics, the consensus is that Aerogauge delivers intense speed-based racing, earning an 86% score on the N64 scorebox. This page dives into Tetrisphere, Nintendo's attempt to bring the classic puzzle game into the 3rd dimension on the N64. Apparently puzzle games are big in Japan, or so the article suggests, but this one didn't quite land. The core idea is Tetris blocks wrapped around a sphere, where you match and remove them to free a little robot trapped inside. Seems simple enough, but the main review gives it a rather lukewarm 60%. The reviewer, Mark, thought it looked lovely with its bright colors and techno music, but found it slow, dull, and ultimately crushingly tedious after hitting level 40. He reckons you'd be better off sticking to the original Game Boy Tetris for excitement, which is a bit harsh. There are various game modes, like rescuing robots, a hide-and-seek mode, timed trials, and multiplayer for a bit of head-to-head action. You get different robots too, each with a quirky look, like Wheels, Jack, Gyro, Stomp, Turbine, Rocket and Gear. They even include opinions from other folks, confirming it's not quite the classic Tetris magic, though some found it relaxing, or at least better than other things they'd played. It seems like a brave attempt, but perhaps Tetris was best left in 2D after all. Fighter's Destiny for the N64 is praised for its surprisingly high-quality, almost arcade-level graphics and sound. The reviewer finds the control scheme intuitive, using simple button presses for a wide range of moves. A unique scoring system, awarding points for specific actions like throws and special moves, instead of traditional health bars, distinguishes the game. The diverse roster, including a fighting cow, and the detailed controls guide showcase the game's potential. The reviewer highlights the challenging Joker character as a standout difficulty. Overall, Fighter's Destiny appears to be a strong contender for the N64's fighting game library. This Fighter's Destiny review highlights unique mechanics like edge grabs and opponent takedowns. The game boasts bizarre character designs, including a fighting cow, USHI, in rodeo mode. Players earn new moves by challenging the master or joker, with customizable ring sizes and scoring. The game receives an 89% score, praised for its graphics, gameplay, sound, and replayability. Reviewers find it a strong N64 fighter, better than previous titles, despite some control system criticisms. This page features a review of Yoshi's Story. The headline warns about the game's sickeningly cute nature, stating that while it's an update of a 16-bit classic, eager importers might be disappointed as it's not quite what everyone hoped for. The review dives into the game's unique storybook concept, shown through various screenshots featuring the adorable Yoshis, varied levels, and elements like choosing your path or finding warp points. The reviewer, having played the Japanese import, discusses the potential disappointment for fans, hinting at the game's short length, 24 levels, and perhaps a different feel compared to previous Yoshi games. Despite the initial confusion and language barrier in the import, they suggest the Western version could be tougher, and the game itself, while maybe not what was expected, still has well-designed levels and some charm. Character art of red, green and blue Yoshis are prominent, alongside screenshots showing gameplay, fruit selection, and even a not-that-scary really monster. The next page continues the Yoshi's Story review, diving deeper into the gameplay mechanics and frustrations. We learn that collecting Happy Fruit is key to scoring, though the reviewer finds chasing the Lucky Fruit system a bit daft, and hints that simply collecting 30 will get you maximum points anyway, which rather defeats the object, doesn't it? They lament the game's ease and shortness, wishing there was a difficulty option to collect less fruit for a greater challenge. Apparently, the Japanese version was a particular disappointment, being too short and too easy. The page also shows off the Who Goes There mechanic where finding hearts unlocks new levels, and covers Yoshi's ability to lash out with his tongue or use eggs collected along the way. Other reviewers weigh in too, largely agreeing that while it's a good-looking platformer, it's just too easy. Despite the criticisms, it manages a score of 79%, with decent marks across the board, suggesting there's still fun to be had, perhaps more so in the eventual UK release. This page dives straight into a review for Snowboard Kids. The reviewer admits it kind of snuck up on them, initially thinking it might be a bit limited. Turns out they were wrong, weren't they? It's a snowboarding racer featuring rather stylized, deformed Japanese characters, which the reviewer finds quite appealing and well animated. The game isn't just about racing down slopes, you'll be pulling off stunts and aerial maneuvers for points, which sounds like a bit of a laugh. There's a good variety of courses mentioned, from snowy mountains to grass valleys and even a desert, which is certainly unexpected for a snowboarding game. The visuals are described as vibrant and detailed, though maybe not quite Diddy Kong Racing standard, but still looking good. Crucially, there are power-ups to collect and unleash on your opponents, adding a bit of mischief to the races. The screenshots show various moments, like queuing for a chairlift, getting off the start line, characters getting hit by attacks, and performing jumps. There's even a handy diagram explaining the N64 controller buttons for jumps, steering, and activating those all-important power-ups. The bottom strip helpfully illustrates some of these power-ups, like a glove to shove, a parachute, an icicle attack, and even turning opponents into snowmen. Looks like good Chowratic fun. The Snowboard Kids review delves into character stats, speed, cornering, tricks, and gameplay controls, analog stick, Z flash B buttons, A for jumps. Aerial stunts require precise analog stick movements. Game modes include racing, a wave race-like trick game, speedcross, and a unique snowman shooting mode. Tracks incorporate chairlifts for added elevation and potential for player interaction. Reviewers praise the game, comparing it to Mario Kart and noting its quality as a third-party title. Positive feedback extends to graphics, gameplay, sound, and replayability, resulting in a 91% rating. This page kicks off the second and final part of their Diddy Kong Racing guide. They're diving into the later, tougher areas this time, Dragon Forest, Future Funland, and tackling old Wizpig himself. The core advice remains solid. Hoard those bananas for maximum speed, and get your power-up game sorted, especially if you're aiming to smash those time trial records. They even throw down a challenge, asking readers to send in their fastest times. Classic, competitive spirit. There's a really handy breakdown of a course, looks like Greenwood Village in the Dragon Forest world. They've drawn out the track with a clear map showing where all the action happens, pointing out shortcuts, zippers, and banana clusters. Accompanying this are numbered tips and screenshots, guiding you through the tricky bits, like using the well shortcuts, or making sure you hit that final zipper before the finish. It's proper tactical stuff, to help you shave off precious seconds. You've got Diddy Kong featured prominently, looking eager for a race, alongside a couple of the other characters you'll encounter, the rather formal Walrus, Jolly Roger, and the somewhat less formal, Red Octopus, Bubbler. It's a great visual guide to mastering the later courses, and really putting the pedal to the metal. This page jumps straight back into the Diddy Kong Racing deep dive, giving us the lowdown on a couple more tricky tracks. Doravon's Boot. First up is Boulder Canyon, the hovercraft one. They've absolutely nailed the key advice here. With the hovercraft, losing speed is the kiss of death, so keeping your line smooth through the corners is paramount. None of that scrubbing off speed on the wall. The guide maps out the course, showing where to snag bananas and hit the zippers, with numbered steps and screenshots walking you through it. There's even a little call out for the battle key location, which is always a bonus for unlocking more stuff. You see Tip Top the turtle looking ready for action naturally, given the water. Then we swing over to Windmill Plains, an aeroplane stage. The tip here is to hug the ground, or rather the track, and zip through the speed boost rings under the windmills. You get the map layout again, with numbered points and screenshots guiding you through the flight path, hitting those air tunnels, and making the most of your power-ups, like the dropper they mention. They even tell you how to adjust your approach on later laps for maximum speed. Pipsy the mouse is front and center in her plane. It's all about mastering the specific vehicle and track layout to get that gold coin. Good solid advice. This page keeps the Diddy Kong Racing Guide rolling, tackling a couple more challenges you'll face on Timbers Island. First up, we've got Haunted Woods. They reckon this one's a doddle if you just get your head around where the zippers are and hoover up the bananas. Honestly, learning the track layout and boost pads is half the battle in this game, isn't it? The guide shows the map with a clear path and numbered points, walking you through everything from the start line, collecting bananas and using power-ups like the dropper, right through the turns, zippers and tunnels. They even point out spots for useful power-ups, which is always handy. Look, there's Conker in his cart ready to tear it up. Then we shift gears to the Dragon Boss, featuring Tricky himself. This one's labeled tricky until you know where those pesky rock pillars are. The secret, apparently, is just getting in front and staying there with turbos. Typical boss strategy, eh? The map lays out the path you need to follow, and the numbered steps guide you through the race, advising you on picking up rockets to slow him down and grabbing turbos, particularly one under the windmill and another just before the finish line on the second lap. Using those collected turbos at the end is key to leaving the big lizard in the dust. Good stuff. Knowing exactly when and where to use those boosts makes all the difference. This page keeps the Diddy Kong Racing tips coming, diving into a couple of serious challenges. First up, we've got the dreaded Whizpig Race 1. This one's labeled the trickiest section, and honestly, they're not wrong. Whizpig's a cheat, flying over the water that slows you right down. The guide nails it by saying the first time feels hopeless, but the secret is learning where every single zipper is. It walks you through the track, showing screenshots, and numbering the zippers you absolutely must hit to stand a chance against that flying pig. They even drop a crucial tip in a note: use Banjo. Apparently he's got the speed needed without being a handful to control. Wise words that. Then we jump into Spaceport Alpha in Future Funland. This track looks amazing, proper Star Wars vibes, and they reckon it's not too difficult once you get the hang of the air vent bits and laser avoidance. The guide maps out the course, showing where to grab bananas and hit those air zippers, even pointing out one tricky zipper you might want to skip for a dropper power-up instead. It covers getting a good start, navigating the air vents, and finishes up by recommending blue turbos on the final stretch to really push for the win. Seems pretty straightforward, just master the unique features of the track, and collect those essential bananas for speed. This page keeps the Diddy Kong Racing tips flowing, tackling a couple more tracks you'll need to master. First up, Dark Moon Caverns, with Pipsy the mouse looking rather determined in her inner tube. They call this one slightly tricky, particularly that chicane, and suggest experienced players shouldn't have too much bother. The guide walks you through the track, step by step, showing screenshots and telling you exactly where to snag bananas, hit zippers for that essential boost, and when to deploy power-ups like the dropper. It's all about hitting those key points to keep your speed up. Then we have Space Dust Alley, which features Timber the Tiger in his cart. This is labeled a fast track with easy bends, making it prime territory for those who like to maintain serious pace. The advice here is spot on: get your 10 bananas fast. It's crucial for keeping up. The numbered tips cover grabbing bananas early, hitting the various zippers, avoiding those annoying electrical currents that slow you right down, and even guide you towards a handy shortcut. Just like the WizPig advice last page, it's all about knowing the layout and maximizing those speed boosts and banana collections. Pretty standard DKR stuff, really, but essential if you want to win. This page continues the Diddy Kong Racing cheat zone with tips for a couple more crucial races. First up is Star City, which they reckon is surprisingly easy once you nail the braking turn through the street sections. The guide points you towards the best places to scoop up bananas, hit the zippers for speed boosts, and generally navigate those tricky corners and chicanes. Pretty standard stuff, but essential for taking the win here. Jenga. Then, the big one, WizPig Race 2. This is labeled tricky, but apparently nowhere near as tough as the first race against the pig. The main secret, as they say, is getting ahead early and then just constantly using those blue turbo power-ups to stay there. The tips guide you through the course, highlighting key points like taking the first corner tight to avoid rock pillars, flying low for rocket power-ups, and how to use a homing missile on WizPig himself. They also point out where to find more turbos, how to dodge lasers and electrical charges, ensuring you keep your pace up for all 3 laps. Looks like the focus is purely on speed and smart item usage. There's a little section at the bottom showing some screenshots from the celebrations after you finally put WizPig in his place. Good times. This page switches gears from racing karts to the beautiful game, showcasing the Goal of the Month feature, but this time it's all taken from EA's FIFA 98. It's the 3rd time they've done this, bringing us 6 of the best strikes from the virtual pitch. They break down each goal sequence with screenshots and descriptions, showing you everything from a cheeky direct free kick whistling into the top corner, to a well-timed headed flicken and some Route 1 specials that bypass the defense entirely. It really highlights the sort of cracking goals you could score if you knew what you were doing in that game. Binay. There's also a useful little section on top ways to score, giving you tactical pointers on techniques like the side footer, or how to get the ball into the far post corner. Essential knowledge for any aspiring FIFA goal machine back then. And naturally, they're running a compo asking you to pick your favorite goal for a chance to win a new 64 game. Always good to see them getting readers involved. FIFA 98 might not look like much now, but these goals show it had some flair. This cheat zone page provides cheat codes for several classic Nintendo 64 games. Duke Nukem 64 cheats include invincibility and monster switching. Tetrasphere cheats unlock hidden characters and levels. Top Gear Rally cheats alter graphics. Bomberman 64 cheats unlock sound tests and secret stages. The page encourages readers to share their own cheat discoveries. This page features cheats for various N64 games. Diddy Kong Racing has a character enlarging cheat, while MRC offers hidden cars, including Satan and God, unlocked through gameplay. Automobili Lamborghini similarly requires beating arcade mode for special cars and reverse tracks. FIFA 98 allows for unique commentary, invisible elements, and custom moves. WCW vs NWO focuses on unlocking wrestlers through competitive play, not cheats. Finally, Madden 64 lets players unlock a secret stadium and retro teams via codes. Overall, the cheats encourage gameplay skill rather than relying on simple shortcuts. The anticipation for Ocarina of Time was immense, and the game lived up to the hype. Early previews praised the revolutionary targeting system, intuitive camera controls via C buttons, and engaging combat, including the iconic helicopter spin attack. Context-sensitive B-button actions further enhanced gameplay. The graphics, with real-time lighting, detailed environments, and smooth frame rates, were also lauded, as was the game's impressive level of interaction with the world. Sound effects, while the music was not fully present in the demo, were considered top-notch. Overall, the game was touted as an ambitious blend of adventure, RPG, and platformer, predicted to surpass Mario 64 and become the definitive 3D experience. This Zelda 64 feature dives deep into the game's content. Screenshots showcase Link in temples, open areas, and battling creatures, including a fearsome lizard dragon. New enemies like massive skeletons, a Goma spider, and the bomb-feeding Dodongo are detailed. Navi, Link's fairy companion, is introduced, offering guidance. Horse riding and item usage, including sword combos, shield defense, bomb throwing, magic nuts, and the boomerang, are also described. The article highlights the cartridge-based saving system, praising the overall game. The magazine is clearly enthusiastic, though wishing for Japanese text translations. This page is a cracking feature exploring the weird and wonderful world of sports that might just make it onto the N64. Titled, A Sporting Chance, it dives into some frankly daft possibilities beyond the usual suspects. Authored by Alex Lee, it muses on why there aren't more sports simulations on the console, and then gets stuck into some truly bizarre ideas. We've got sumo wrestling, all about two big chaps pushing each other out of a ring which apparently already exists in Japan. Then there's Swiss wrestling, which sounds utterly bonkers, involving lederhosen, daggers, and cheese stars, though the description hints the real version isn't quite that wild. They also look at floodlit golf, suggesting playing under lamps at night, and kabaddi, an Indian team sport that sounds like a hectic game of tag while holding your breath. And of course, there's fishing, which they seem to find rather tedious but acknowledge games exist. The reviews for each sport are quite funny, rating them on stupidity, players, a bit like, potential, and overall. It's clear the author has a good sense of humor about it all, finding some of these sports highly amusing, but perhaps not the most likely candidates for a chart-topping 64 hit, despite seeing some potential in a few. They're clearly having a laugh imagining these on your big screen. The next page jumps right into a preview of Konami's NBA Pro 98, clearly hoping it can replicate the magic of their superb football sim, ISS 64. It looks promising too. Written by Mark Hattersley, the article highlights that it's got the official NBA license, meaning real teams and players are all here, which is always a bonus. Miller. They've packed in over 300 motion-captured moves, giving the players a really authentic feel, including signature moves for blokes like Dennis Rodman. There's even a whole profile on him, the Menace, complete with his rather unconventional interests. While the graphics might be a tad fuzzy compared to some others, the animation is apparently top-notch, and the gameplay is smooth and responsive. The sound gets a shout-out too, particularly the hip-hop tunes on the cart. You can get stuck into all the stats if that's your thing, and there are plenty of camera angles to try out. Playing against mates, up to 4 players, sounds like where it'll really shine. Looks like a solid attempt at bringing proper basketball to the N64. This page jumps into a rather intriguing puzzle game preview, Wetrix, penned by the familiar name of Mark Hattersley. Apparently, it's like taking the classic Tetris, giving it a proper dunking, and twisting it into glorious 3D. The core idea is brilliantly bonkers. You're guiding falling blocks to build dams on a dynamically changing 3D landscape to trap water. Get it right, and you contain the deluge. Fail, and it all leaks away, edging you closer to a watery demise. Scoring is a clever affair, not just based on placing blocks, but on evaporating water and completing specific tasks, like constructing elaborate dams to earn a rainbow, or even around a giant rubber duck for bonus points. For a bit of competitive spirit, there's a 2-player mode that swaps points for weapon power, letting you unleash delightful attacks like freezing your opponent's land or causing earthquakes. The screenshots show off the vibrant, colorful 3D world, full of undulating terrain, dams, water, and the chaotic fun unfolding. It looks like a solid, unique puzzle concept that's nearly finished, set to make a splash around February 13th. This page is a proper mail-order feast from Gameplay, who are banging on about being Britain's largest supplier. Front and centre is the N64 console for a tidy £91.99, boasting free delivery and a rock-solid service guarantee direct from Nintendo. None of your funny business here, just genuine UK kit. They're pushing hard on saving you extra quid when you bundle the console with accessories like steering wheels, memory cards, or even that crucial RGB SCART cable. They've got pages listing UK N64 games, covering the usual suspects like Mario 64 and GoldenEye, and even imported us titles if you were impatient. Controllers? Yep, official ones, and some third-party beauties too, alongside essential gubbins like memory packs and rumble packs. Over on the right they tease upcoming N64 games, Banjo-Kazooie, Legend of Zelda 64, Quake, yes please. There's even a cheeky push for the Virtual Boy at £44.99, listing the handful of games you could play on that iStrain machine. Plus they're buying and selling second-hand games and have a section for those dabbling in PlayStation. Loads of contact info and ordering details if you fancied sending off a check or using your credit card back in the day. This page is all about getting your skates on with a preview of Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98 for the N64. The big question posed is whether it's actually different from the 97 version. Well, the reviewer reckons it's undoubtedly better, although admittedly quite similar. You get everything you'd expect from a decent hockey sim. Hitting, fighting, slap shots, and plenty of options to tailor the rules. It sounds like they've managed to find a good balance for different players, Whether you prefer a physical scrap or a more tactical game, the netminders are apparently much improved this time around, being more realistic. Controlling the action involves the N64's analog stick for skating with precision, combined with buttons to pull off various moves. Scoring seems to be harder in the Arcade League mode, requiring more tactical awareness than just trying to solo your way through everyone. Overall, it looks good, moves fast, and plays how a proper ice hockey game should. It's expected to please both the serious hockey fans and those who just want some fast-paced fun. Oh, and there's a mini-biography of the great one himself, Wayne Gretzky, detailing his frankly ridiculous career highlights and stats. Looks like a solid update. This page is all about getting a sneak peek at Forsaken, another 3D shoot-'em-up, but one that the reviewer quickly points out looks set to be a bit special. Set in a rather grim future on a ruined Earth, you'll be flying around on an anti-gravity contraption as a mercenary. The big selling point here is the movement. Unlike your typical corridor shooters like Doom or even GoldenEye, this one offers full 360-degree freedom, much like Descent. You'll be navigating complex, labyrinthine levels, not just walking on the floor. The graphics are getting a good shout-out too, with the screenshots showing off some rather lovely explosions and impressive lighting effects bouncing off the walls. Acclaim, who know a thing or two about pushing the N64 after Turok, are promising detailed visuals and, perhaps best of all, a smooth framerate that should stay above 30 FPS, even in split-screen multiplayer. A bold claim, but one that would certainly make for slick gameplay. There's also a rundown of the arsenal you'll be wielding, featuring some fun-sounding names like the Transpulse Cannon and the Trojax weapon, promising plenty of ways to blast your way through the mech enemies. Overall, it sounds like a high-flying, action-packed shooter that aims to stand out from the crowd with its unique movement and flashy visuals. The next page continues the Forsaken preview, talking up the music, promising some pumping drum and bass, and the gore factor which always adds a bit of flavor. The multiplayer sounds chaotic and brilliant, perfect for ganging up on your mates, or perhaps someone named Noeli, according to the office chatter. You'll also get a load of variety, with different bikes, weapons, and items to mess about with. The artwork shown looks stunning, giving a good sense of the detailed environments and the cool dynamic lighting effects. Over on the right, there's a giveaway for the Ultra Racer 64 controller, a rather futuristic-looking steering wheel peripheral. The mag reckons N64 owners will be desperate for one of these to show off to their console-owning friends, and you can win one by suggesting alternative uses for it. This article reviews various third-party Nintendo 64 controllers. The Ultra Racer 64, a handheld wheel, receives a strong 4.5/5, praised for racing games. The NS64, similar to the standard controller, gets a middling 3/5 due to its flimsy build, especially the D-pad. The Gamester Lix 4.3/5 stands out for its unique design. The Superpad 3/5 is praised for sturdiness but criticized for weight issues. Finally, the Macopad 64 receives a poor 2/5 due to awkward placement of the Z-trigger and uncomfortable design. The review also notes the popularity of the official Nintendo controller and includes a chart of top-voted peripherals. This page is a cracking mix. In it, on the left, it's all about the competition winners from the early issues, declaring, "Everyone's a winner," which is a nice touch, even if they do qualify it slightly. You've got people scooping prizes from surveys and contests, featuring proper N64 classics like Mario Kart 64, Super Mario 64, Wave Race, and Diddy Kong Racing, alongside some Star Wars stuff, and even, bizarrely, Brookside videos. There are lists of names from all over the country who won various bits and bobs from issues 1, 2, and 3. Over on the right, they're flogging the back issues. You could snap up those early magazines for just £3 a pop, a bargain back then, and probably still is now for the nostalgia value. They show the covers for the first 4 issues, highlighting some absolute corkers like Extreme G, San Francisco Rush, FIFA 98, and Yoshi's Story. The inside lists mention some gems too, like GoldenEye 007, Zelda 64, and Killer Instinct Gold. Can't go wrong with any of those, can you? There's also a handy form there to get your order in the post. This article discusses post-Christmas N64 deals in Manchester. Diddy Kong Racing is back in stock. Older games like Turok and Extreme G are discounted. A cheaper third-party controller, the Superpad 64, is available. Dixon's offer bundled N64 consoles with memory packs, controllers, and games like Mario 64 and GoldenEye at fixed prices. A reader, Tofesh, found an Extreme G bargain through price matching and a voucher. The article concludes that good deals were available for those who searched for them. Photos show the prevalence of N64 games on store shelves. This page is shouting about getting your hands on the magazine for a year at a cracking price. You can subscribe and get the next 13 issues for a mere £20. Now comparing that to the recommended retail price of £38.87, that's a solid saving, isn't it? Just like finding a good deal on a classic N64 game in Manchester, as we saw last page. The page is pretty clear. If you're mad for N64, this is how you get your fix delivered right to your door. There's a simple form to fill out with your details and how you want to pay, whether that's check, postal order, or credit card. They even give you a free post address, so you don't even need a stamp. Lovely. And for those who prefer the modern touch, there's a subs hotline number for credit card payments. Can't argue with getting a year's worth of N64 goodness for that price. This page is shouting about a cracking day out. Head down to Granada Studios, right there in Manchester where we were talking about deals last time. And get this, N64 Pro readers get in for half price. That's only £7.50 for adults and a fiver for the kids. Bargain! You can mooch around Coronation Street, have a go at the interactive cracker game, and even face off against the terrifying creatures from Aliens in a simulator. Plus, they've got this future vision thing looking at all the futuristic tech. And, as if that wasn't enough, they're bundling in a free copy of N64 Pro with every ticket order. So you save on the day out and get the magazine delivered. You can fill out the form or just ring up the hotline to get your tickets sorted. Lovely stuff. Reader feedback on the Nintendo 64, N64, and PlayStation PS consoles dominates this page. Stephen Harrington praises the magazine, but criticizes Diddy Kong Racing and FIFA 64. Kevin Norman defends the N64's graphics and speed against PlayStation. Zach Leavold praises the magazine and seeks Mortal Kombat Trilogy advice. Karine Jeetha enjoys the magazine's quality. Robert Gray, a PlayStation owner, prefers PlayStation games like Tekken 2 and criticizes War Gods. The page concludes with a discussion of the quantity versus quality debate between the consoles, highlighting N64 titles like GoldenEye and Diddy Kong Racing. The next page is pure reader feedback and, naturally, a giveaway. We've got people still banging on about the N64's quality, which frankly, is a debate that raged back and forth forever. Someone's having a pop about their Mario Kart 64 times, being better than the magazines, bless 'em, complete with a little yellow asterisk, promising to kick your karting ass if you need proof. There's also a good bit of chat about Duke Nukem's 18 certificate, with readers listing their most wanted games like GoldenEye and Diddy Kong Racing alongside old Duke himself. The magazine staff even weigh in on their own competitive karting exploits, clearly confident in their skills. But the main event is the Price is Right giveaway. Forget guessing the price of a fancy console, they want you to guess the price of a revolutionary toning chin strap from a shopping catalogue. Yep, you read that right. The woman in the picture looks thrilled. Apparently it tones your face while you relax. Guess the price of this bizarre contraption correctly, or close enough, and you could win a set of cracking graphic novels featuring Batman, Predator, Spawn, and Starship Troopers. Now that's a prize worth guessing for, even if the item you're pricing is utterly daft. This page dives headfirst into the ultimate guide to N64 gaming, penned by Mark Hattersley. It promises the lowdown on the good, the bad, and the just plain ugly releases this month, including import games, and throws a bit of shade at other magazines for not knowing their stuff. We've got the definitive charts, listing the top-rated games according to both N64 Pro itself, and an aggregated score from all the other mags. Unsurprisingly, Diddy Kong Racing and GoldenEye are right up there, proving they were the big hitters of the era. There's a little box explaining how to read the scores, and another highlighting the stamp of approval for essential purchases, which is a handy little guide. The page is packed with reviews, covering everything from driving games like Automobili Lamborghini and Cruisin' USA, the latter apparently a bit dull, bless it, to shooters like Doom 64, Duke Nukem 64, and the mighty GoldenEye 007, which is rightly praised as one of the best first-person games ever. There's also a look at races like Extreme G and Diddy Kong Racing. No surprise Diddy Kong Racing gets a glowing review, and the stamp of approval, it truly was brilliant. Games like Blast Corps and Bomberman 64 also get a mention, with various screenshots dotted around showing off some of the action. It's a proper rundown of what was hot, or not, on the N64 this month. The next page of N64 game reviews covers a wide range of titles. Highlights include superb football in ISS 64, the flawed genius of Mario Kart 64, and the stunning visuals of Star Fox 64. Other games like Killer Instinct Gold, Mace, The Dark Age, and Madden 64 are also reviewed. The page also discusses Mortal Kombat Trilogy, racing games, arcade-style NBA Hang Time, and sports titles like NFL Quarterback Club 98. Fan favorites like Pilotwings 64 and Super Mario 64 are praised, alongside racers like San Francisco Rush and Top Gear Rally, and shooters like Turok. Fighting games, including WCW vs NW, and the realistic water effects of Wave Race 64 are also detailed. Overall, the page offers a comprehensive overview of the N64 library. This page is the Next Month section, setting up what to expect in the next issue. It kicks off with a bit of banter, asking readers what console they'll still be hooked on. N64 obviously. And which magazine they can't live without. This one, naturally. Then they tease the contents of the next issue, admitting they only have a vague idea, but they drop some corkers. We're talking a review of the PAL version of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, About Time, and a look at Yoshi's story, with hints it'll be better than the Japanese release. They also promise coverage on games like Cruisin' USA, the PAL version, Quake, Snowboard Kids, FIFA 98, and Diddy Kong Racing. Plus, a mention of something free. Always a bonus. They also plug subscribing to get the mag early. The bulk of the page, though, is a massive advert for Special Reserve, showing off deals on 64 consoles, games, and peripherals, alongside stuff for other machines, and listing their various shop locations. Looks like they've got everything you could need.